rocky country where most times they can be found, where the condiment divides the landscape.
Hello and welcome. We're out of here at Ned's Corner, and for those that don't know the rest of us, you all know Ned, Dad, but we've got Mum Margaret and my sister Melinda, and you know me, Gailey. And so we just thought today we wanted to come and share some memories of Ned's Corner, because something's going to be happening soon, but we'll say that at the end of it. So what's happening is we're going to share some memories of what we did here at Ned's Corner. And Ned's Corner started in what year, Dad?
1984, Gailey.
1984? So you bought the property then?
Yeah, end of 84 we bought it. And 85 was a busy year, of course, and you two were going to school, you and Melinda, in Toowoomba. But we've had some very enjoyable times here.
We certainly
Margaret,
did,
haven't we?
Yes.
And to think, love, that all those years...
We haven't had any fights, but
No.
God,
So what started as Ned's Corner, Dad, we used to go lots of travelling, catering in camp ovens. For anyone who has followed Dad's page for a while, you know that he has had a passion for tourism, for showing people Australia and our heritage. And so with that, we used to travel lots and lots of places, taking camp ovens. And where are some of the places?
And the furthest I can remember is the time that you and this lady here and another chap from Cranberry, from Clifton, we went all the way out to Cameron's Corner. That's where the three states meet, and we cooked 3 meals there over the 2 days for a big mob of people.
Yep, car rallies. Yeah.
Can I just say, on the way back, Ned suggested that, maybe we should do this again. And with that, Gailey and I both said,
No
don't
way.
even think about it.
And some other events were George Street Festival in Brisbane.
And then we had the Bullickies reunion here.
Yeah, so then you actually started building this in the background.
That's right. Well, the shed here that we see in the background, we started that about in the in the late 80s.
Yeah, so you built that.
All from timber from the property. Beautiful cypress pine you'll see standing here, and gum and box trees, ironbark trees. So that's the big shed.
And once that happened, then we started getting groups to come to Ned's Corner, and we would put on 2 or 3 course meals, all cooked in camp ovens.
And the most people we've had on 2 occasions was nearly 400.
Yeah, we had an amazing event called the Endeavour Car Rally. There's photos of that, and also the Bullickies Day, Melinda, with...
Yes, that was great. My husband's a Bullocky, and we organised a big Bullickies reunion here. I can't remember how many people we had, but we had some Bullock teams snigging some logs out of the area of the scrub around here, and it was a very enjoyable day.
Yeah. And some of our favourite memories. Do you have some really favourite memories, Dad?
Oh, have we ever?
Yeah?
Oh, God. I'll never forget that day that chap come along, and he had this bottle about this big, and you wouldn't credit it. It was full of beer.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Surprise, surprise.
And he didn't know what to do with it.
Oh, right.
But I come up with the idea anyway.
Oh, good. You put it in the damper. Probably one of my favourite memories, where we used to get a lot of international guests, and I remember groups of Japanese visitors, and they would come, and it would be evening, and so they just loved lying down. They would lie down on the grass and look at the stars. But another favourite memory of that is that Dad would get out the bullock whip Remember
That's
the boy
right.
whip?
Mhm.
And they were just so fascinated with whip cracking. And so we would say, you know, I'll have a go. But because they kept flicking themselves in the face, we would put a bucket on their head, and they just thought it was the funniest thing, and they would go ahead with it.
And we put them all up on the back of the Land Cruiser. So they stood all up on the back of the Land Cruiser. Dad had made a bit of a wild safety type thing around
You'd never do it these days.
No workplace health and safety here.
Back then.
And we'd drive around the property looking at the kangaroos, and they absolutely loved it.
They did.
And then there was one day when our friend Johnny Thornton
Yes.
and used to dress up as a bullocky, as a bagman.
Swagman.
Bagman, that's
Swagman.
John there. And we'd planned this where John would come wandering in with his swag from across the creek there. And this happened when everyone's dining. Next thing, one of them says, "Hey, there's a swaggy. Yeah, look at him, mate." And they all dropped their eating gear
They did.
and all came over and interviewed John, and we had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we
it
did.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually think that they should have won a gold Logie for that, because
Yeah,
that was pretty
it was a pretty
entertaining.
good performance.
Yeah.
Dad and John Staunton, yep.
And on a
What
couple
about-
of occasions, double booking
Yikes.
for catering. That's not fantastic, but I do recall one time we had a busload of people coming, and so Mum and I and Jason, we had to cater for this busload of people. Dad then went and catered for the other group, and Jason had to get up and welcome the guests in the bus, and I think he recited that little poem, Wind, Wind,
Yes.
which, coming from a, what was he, 10-year-old?
10 or 11 years.
Probably wasn't overly appropriate, but it still went over well, and he did an awesome job.
Yeah.
We also, for entertainment, we had a couple that came out here for the, 14 years or so, wasn't it?
Yep.
Len
and Nola Wade.
and what would they call the...
Oh, anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, they were our entertainers, which Noel played the keyboard and the guitar, as well as Len playing the guitar and singing.
And this lady sounds like Vera Lynn.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
She's amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
But we used to have a lot of fun, and you'd see the crowd and you'd think, oh, they're not into our entertainment. And then by the end of the 2 hours or whatever they were sitting there, the bus driver would say, "Come on, it's time to go." "Oh, we're just enjoying ourselves. We don't want to leave."
Yeah. And
So-
they'd get up and they'd dance and
Yes.
they had the best time. So, and you'd even get some people, joining in, but yeah.
And the busiest we ever got here was 3 buses for the week. Not 3 buses, 7 buses
7 buses
for the week on 3 occasions.
Yeah.
That's the busiest we ever got.
And I can always remember we had 2 Bills. One was Ned's elder brother, Bill,
Yeah.
and our neighbour up the back was another Bill. And they'd sit at the back of the shed here. And of course, when you wanted to get something over on the speaker, you'd hear these 2 old blokes
men.
up the
Because they
back,
were both as deaf as each other.
and they would go on, and you'd think, oh, for goodness sake, shut up, Bills. But anyway, one conversation was, we heard Bill saying, "Gee, there's a lot of old people here."
Now, and Uncle Bill used to babysit Jason when he was a little baby, and we'd actually use one of the big camp ovens as the porta cot. So we'd put blankets in that, and that's what Jason sat in for the time whilst we were looking after the guests. And Uncle Bill would babysit, so that was a bit
was a
different
bit
for
fun.
Uncle Bill. Yeah.
And some of the groups, like when they got off the bus, they'd come and they'd get around the camp cooking galley, and we'd have the fire going, and Dad would do his bit of a routine, telling lots of truths, and you'd get some funny stories. Then what was the story about the person that thought that the camp oven, like the meal, they were saying they wouldn't eat that because they thought that the coals actually were on top of the food and not on top of a lid. Wasn't that one story? Yeah.
Yeah, well, a lot of the people would come out and they'd heard about camp oven food before and they wanted it. But as Gailey was saying, when they saw the
The coals.
coals on top of the lid, they were doubtful. And remember, one of them said one day they condemned us for it
No, this happened down in
Street
George
Festival.
Street.
in Brisbane.
Yes, we had a section in front of the public
Works building.
public works building, and we all had it all set out. Anyhow, I'm there cutting up damper or something, and Ned and them are busy and Gailey, and these few women walked past, and we had it all fenced in, and these women walked past and said, "Oh, they're feral, those people." Well, if I could have jumped that fence.
She nearly had curry, that woman. You nearly had curry on your head that day.
Yes. So that's how ignorant some
Any-
people are about camp oven cooking.
Anyway, there was lots of fun times and probably a few
And that's- well,
interesting times.
You'd forget about a lot of those things, perhaps. But the places we took our camp ovens to, I mentioned a while ago Cameron's Corner, where the 3 states meet. That was as furthest inland we went. But Boulia, Rockhampton, half a dozen times. The biggest dues ever cooked in the camp ovens would be Rockhampton.
Beef
And
week. Rockhampton beef
Beef
weeks.
Week in 1400 in 94, and we went back in 97, I think it was, and we cooked for 2,000 people, 2,000 meals in camp ovens. And but in Brisbane, King George Square on 3 occasions, but the most strangest place we ever cooked with our camp ovens, we took 14, 16 camp ovens, didn't we, Melinda?
did, yes.
Is that the time Melinda got locked in the...
Well, Dad and I got locked in the elevator, or not in the elevator, but in the department,
But
government department.
Yeah, going up, we had to take all the gear up, tables and all the food,
Yes.
up to 7 stories high on the Public Works Department in Brisbane.
Yes.
And that would have to be the only time that a 3-course meal has been cooked 7 stories high in camp ovens.
Yeah.
And we entertained the Premier of
Of the time.
Queensland at the time,
Yes.
who was Russell Cooper.
That's correct.
right.
Yes. we did.
And so that's some of the things that we've did with our camp ovens over the years.
Looking at our wording here by our daughters, we have a wedding. We did 2 weddings. One was...
Your daughters.
No, but first we did somebody else's wedding here, and then we did Gailey and Gary's wedding here out amongst the pine trees. We did not cook for it, I might have knew, but it went off very well. We had a baptism here, that was Gailey, and then we had engagement parties, car rallies, books, and the bus groups, all filling in our time. So, but that was a memorable day.
Yeah. And probably overall though, like looking back, there are so many people we would love to thank, and probably we're going to forget who they are, so we won't actually say that. But thank you to all the visitors that came. Thank you to everybody that helped.
Hey, listen, before we finish, never forget that time we had a mob of Japanese here. And some of them could speak pretty well English,
Yeah.
some of them couldn't. But I can remember this arrogant, rude-looking bugger. And he was grunting at us all the time and that. And I did my bit on that with camp ovens and my condamine bells and that. And I said, one day I go to Japan. I called in, see you. He said, no, he said, not you come Japan, only wife come Japan.
We haven't been there. You didn't go, Mum.
No.
But yeah, I guess just to finish up and to wrap up, just thank you to everybody that visited here, that we cooked for, we catered for, we laughed with, and just...
and those that have helped us,
and
Betty
those that
and
helped
Noel.
us. Oh, look, there's so many,
Yeah,
Mum. So
and
many
then-
people.
And special thank you to Nola, our entertainer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess we're just wrapping this up now and just...
And before we go, we must
we're not
mention...
going yet. Not going yet. We need to talk more.
This is Ned. I can vouch for it. The poor boys often are pulled up by Ned and we'll say, Ned, the boys have got to go and do some work. Yeah, just a minute. I'll just finish this story.
Okay, so Dad, you can finish the story.
Yeah, right. Well, what year is this?
91.
91.
No, 97, sorry.
No,
91.
91. We entertained His Excellency and Lady Campbell. He was the governor
Governor at the time.
of Queensland at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember what year it was about that time that we entertained about 4 or 5
Dignitaries.
all, yeah.
Yeah. Lots of politicians, yeah. Pauline
right.
Hanson. Pauline Hanson's been
We
one
did.
as well when she first started, so
Yeah.
she was out
And then
here.
we had, there was the bloke up in Cooper. And then who was the bloke when we did the job at Bundaberg? Goss.
Yeah, there's quite a few premiers that we've catered for, so yeah, I think you've got a story about that, Dad, about putting something maybe in their dinners, some of them.
That
didn't happen. We won't go into that. But anyway, to wrap up, so something's happening at the end of August. Ned's Corner is up for sale and will be auctioned off on the 25th of August. So that's a wrap. End
Thank you,
of an era.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
From Ballen on the Wallen in the Outback to Cecil Plains on the Darling Downs, about all this lucky country where most times they can be found, where the condamine divides the landscape from the forest and rich fertile plains. On the western side of the river lies the pretty little town of Cecil Plains. I don't want a mansion in the big smoke or a quaint little cottage by the sea. Cecil Plains, Australia is home, sweet home to me. This little town is steeped in history. Ludwig Leichert, he's to blame, though his fate is a mystery. Now he haunts the homestead of Cecil Plains, and some nights around a campfire, reminiscing of days long gone, living close to Mother Nature, while the billy joins me in song, while the condamine divides the landscape from the forest and rich fertile plain. On the western side of the river lies the pretty little town of Cecil Plains. I don't want a mansion in the big smoke or a quaint little cottage by the sea. Cecil Plains, Australia is home, sweet home to me. Cecil Plains, Australia is home, sweet home to me. His home, sweet home to me.